was more blood, more death.
Hawkins! You alright? Did you see him? Where did he go?
Where have you guys been? I called for backup 10 minutes ago.
Easy, rookie.
20 weird facts you didn't know about Halloween, 1978. Hey horror fans, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the world of one of the most iconic horror films of all time, Halloween from 1978. You probably know it as the movie that gave us Michael Myers, the unstoppable masked killer. But behind the scenes, this low-budget slasher is full of strange, surprising, and downright weird facts you probably didn't know. Fact 1. The mask wasn't supposed to be Michael Myers. The Michael Myers mask is legendary, blank, pale, and terrifying. But did you know it was actually a Captain Kirk mask from Star Trek? The production team bought a cheap $1.98 mask from a Hollywood costume shop. They widened the eye holes, ripped off the eyebrows, spray-painted it ghostly white, and teased up the hair. The result? Instead of looking like a heroic starship captain, it became the face of pure evil. Even William Shatner himself has admitted he finds it unsettling to know his likeness was used to terrify millions. Imagine watching a horror movie where the killer is wearing your face. Fact 2. The movie was shot in just 20 days. Most films take months, sometimes even years to shoot. Halloween? It was filmed in just 20 days. The crew worked at lightning speed, shooting in spring of 1978 with almost no room for mistakes. They had to maximize every minute of daylight, every location, and every actor's schedule. Because of the rush, some continuity errors made it into the final cut. Fans have spotted green leaves on trees, sunshine that looks a little too bright for Halloween night, and even palm trees in the background of some shots. But honestly, that rushed schedule gave the film its raw, urgent energy. Fact 3. The budget was only $325,000. It's wild to think about how much this movie accomplished with so little. The entire budget was only $325,000, and even for the late 70s, that was peanuts. Sets, costumes, actors, props, music, everything had to fit into that tiny number. To save money, many of the crew doubled up on jobs. For example, the production designer also sometimes played Michael Myers in certain shots. But here's the kicker. The movie went on to gross over $70 million worldwide. That makes it one of the most profitable independent films ever made, with a return on investment of more than 200 times its budget. Fact 4. Pumpkins were hard to find. Here's something you wouldn't expect. Halloween was filmed in the spring in California, not in the fall. That meant pumpkins were out of season. The crew had to scramble to find pumpkins for the movie, and some of the leaves you see on the ground, they were hand-painted and reused across multiple scenes. Fact 5. Michael Myers was almost called The Shape. In the script, Michael Myers is never really referred to by name. He's called The Shape. John Carpenter wanted him to be less of a man and more of an unstoppable, faceless force, almost like a shadow that moves through the frame. The nickname stuck, and to this day hardcore fans still call him The Shape. Fact 6. The music was written in just a few days. The Halloween theme is one of the most iconic horror scores ever written. That repetitive piano melody is instantly recognizable and chills your spine the moment you hear it. John Carpenter himself wrote the legendary score. He used a simple piano melody in 5/4 time to create that iconic, nerve-wracking theme. And get this, he composed the whole soundtrack in about 3 days. Sometimes simplicity really is scarier. Fact 7. Jamie Lee Curtis got paid $8,000. Today, Jamie Lee Curtis is a Hollywood icon. But back in 1978, Halloween was her very first film. She was paid only $8,000 for the role of Laurie Strode. Not a bad investment, though. It launched her career and earned her the title of Scream Queen. Fact 8. Michael Myers' actor made $25 a day. Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers for most of the film, wasn't even a professional actor. He was a friend of John Carpenter who happened to be hanging around set. Carpenter told him, "Hey, put on the mask and walk around." For this, Castle was paid just $25 a day. Think about that. One of the most famous villains in horror history was created for less than what some people spend on lunch. Fact 9. The original title was different. Believe it or not, the film wasn't always called Halloween. Early drafts had titles like The Babysitter Murders. Carpenter and producer Irwin Yablans eventually changed it to Halloween. That decision turned a generic slasher idea into something instantly memorable. Fact 10. Dr. Loomis was almost played by big stars. Donald Pleasance famously played Dr. Loomis, but the role was first offered to Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Both horror legends turned it down. Christopher Lee later admitted he regretted that decision for the rest of his life. Fact 11. Michael Myers only has 12 minutes of screen time. For a movie all about Michael Myers, he's barely in it. If you add up all his scenes, he's on screen for only about 12 minutes. Carpenter used him sparingly to maximize suspense, but the idea being that the less you see of him, the scarier he becomes. Viewers' imaginations fill in the blanks, making Michael feel omnipresent even when he isn't. Fact 12. There's almost no blood. When people think of slashers, they imagine buckets of gore. But in the original Halloween, there's almost no blood at all. Carpenter wanted suspense and dread, not splatter. The violence is implied rather than shown. Interestingly, many viewers remember the movie as bloodier than it actually is, proof that our minds can create horror more effectively than any special effect. Fact 13. The Myers house was really a dump. The famous Myers house wasn't a Hollywood set. It was a real abandoned house in South Pasadena, California. It was filthy, boarded up, and falling apart when the crew found it. They had to clean it, repaint it, and furnish it to look like a middle-class home. Then, for the opening scene where young Michael kills his sister, they trashed it again to make it look lived in and chaotic. That real-world decay gave the house a creepiness you can't fake on a studio lot. Fact 14. Carpenter put himself in the movie. One of the creepiest parts of the film is hearing Michael Myers' heavy, inhuman breathing whenever he's lurking in the dark. That wasn't a sound effect library. It was actually John Carpenter himself, breathing into a microphone while watching the footage. Carpenter literally gave Michael his breath, adding a personal touch of menace to the character. Fact 15. The movie made history with Steadicam shots. Carpenter's use of long, fluid Steadicam shots, especially the opening POV sequence of young Michael, was groundbreaking. At the time, this technique was brand new, and it gave Halloween its unsettling, dreamlike quality. Fact 16. The knife sound was actually a watermelon. Sound design can be surprisingly simple. That chilling stab sound? It wasn't a knife hitting flesh. It was the sound crew stabbing a watermelon. They recorded it, layered it, and suddenly it became the horrifying sound of Michael's blade. Low budget, but extremely effective. Fact 17. Jamie Lee Curtis chose Laurie's clothes at JCPenney. The budget was so tight that there was no money for a costume designer. Jamie Lee Curtis personally picked out Laurie's entire wardrobe from a local JCPenney store. The total cost was under $100. That simple, everyday look helped Laurie feel like a real teenager instead of a Hollywood character. Fact 18. Michael Myers' height wasn't consistent. Watch closely and you'll notice that Michael's size changes from scene to scene. That's because Nick Castle didn't play him in every shot. Sometimes it was production designer Tommy Lee Wallace or even other crew members filling in. That's why Myers looks tall and broad in one shot, but slimmer or shorter in another. Luckily, the mask and jumpsuit hid the differences. Fact 19. Critics didn't like it. At first, when Halloween first premiered, many critics dismissed it as cheap, exploitative, and unoriginal. But word of mouth, especially from audiences, made it a phenomenon. Today, it's considered one of the greatest horror films ever made. Fact 20. Halloween created the slasher boom. Finally, the biggest impact of all. Halloween didn't just scare audiences, it changed cinema forever. Its massive success inspired a wave of slashers throughout the late 70s and 80s, including Friday the 13th, Prom Night, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. Without Michael Myers, the modern slasher as we know it probably wouldn't exist. One tiny independent film launched an entire era of horror. So there you have it. 20 weird facts you probably didn't know about Halloween, 1978. Which of these surprised you the most? Did you know about the Captain Kirk mask? Or that there's almost no blood in the whole movie? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more creepy movie deep dives.